Our next guests are Debbie Prediger and Jenny Reyes, and we had Debbie on earlier she was our co-host with Ashley Borromeo, and so I am going to let Debbie introduce herself and then introduce Jenny for us.
Oh, wow. Well, it's my privilege. Karen, so many people have said kudos to you, but I know what it takes to do this, and you are phenomenal. And there's so many people supporting you that you don't even know. So good for you. Let's go. Okay, so my name is Debbie Prediger. I am the founder of Empowering You Community and also the brand new Be Extraordinary Women's Network, where I am celebrating and honoring extraordinary women making extraordinary moves across the globe. And it is my honor to work, and actually we're collaborating. I'm just going to throw that out there, is that Karen, Jenny, and myself are actually collaborating right now. And so we are living that collaboration actually works. And so I am honored to introduce you to my friend, Jenny Reyes. Jenny is somebody that I met a few years ago in another community. She stood out. She is a bright light. You can just see her as soon as she walks in the room. But I'm not sure that everybody knows how much magic Jenny actually has and how she can create that and put it all together. She's a branding integrator, not just a strategist. She integrates you personally into your life. What does that look like for the inside and the outside? And she has definitely helped me get clearer on my branding. And so, Jenny, thank you for joining us today.
Well, hi, everybody, and thank you for having me. And Karen, thank you again, and congratulations for putting on such a wonderful event. And I'm happy to be here.
Well, we are happy you are here. So, Jenny, if you could tell us about one of your amazing tools that you help leaders to develop their zone of genius, could you talk to us about this?
Awesome. Well, I stumbled in my leadership journey as well, with different teams. I work with many different teams. And one of the tools that I had stumbled upon was Patrick Lencioni's Working Genius. And I loved it so much that I decided to certify as a facilitator so that I could use it and teach it and help others, live and love and work in their zone of genius so that everybody is in their zone of productivity, joy, and fulfillment, so that you can be there and not get burned out and not get frustrated and all those things. Yeah.
Yes, and can you tell us just a little bit more about how this relates to what you are doing right now?
And so, I mean, anytime you're in branding or you're in marketing and you're in a strategy, you're always working with teams. And like Debbie had said, we are all, on a team as well. And being able to understand yourself and understand others. I believe other people on the stage earlier have spoken about, self-awareness being key. It helps to know, like, what is it that lights you up? What is it that is natural for you to be able to do, so that you can do that and then have other people, do what they love to do, so that you work all in harmony and as a team, and nobody's frustrated and nobody's burned out, and there's less conflict and there's less stress, right? And I believe Debbie and I were talking about collaborative leadership earlier, and Debbie, if you wanted to share a little bit about that, and how you help each other and look to each other for each other's strengths, so that you can get more done.
Yeah, I definitely can, if that's all right, Karen, to just hop right in there.
Yes.
Jenny, you led that right into that beautifully, and so I'll take advantage of that. So collaborative leadership is a new buzzword, but it's actually been something that I've been living for years, generations. And I've always believed that we're not here to do it alone, and I know that we hear that a lot as well right now. But as people are jumping on the collaborative bandwagon, they're running into a few struggles. And so what I love to do is to be able to hold people and really work through that. Because if you possibly have a little bit of a lack mentality, or, and I don't say that in judgment, but, just to be really aware of, like, is there still, like, you trying to show up and be the top dog? Is there still a little bit too much push? I can do it. If I do it all, then everybody will love me. That is just a little bit of the remaining of the subconscious where we've been conditioned to do that, right? Like climb the corporate ladder, shine a little brighter. But when we're truly in a collaboration that just really works, and as Jenny said, we're in our zone of genius. So it's not just about what you think you should do, but actually what fills your cup up. And then as everybody on the team actually realizes that, you step into this leadership role in a different way. And it has been really, really fun. All of the collaborations that I do, it's been fun as we peel back the layers and actually fully step into our power and our leadership role as we do this.
Yes. And Debbie, that's so true, that collaborative leadership is really important. Instead of having competition, having collaboration. And so I'm just going to ask you, Debbie, I'm going to go back to Jenny in just a minute, but how are some ways that you have experienced things in your life that have helped you to have that philosophy of collaboration?
Well, I mean, let's be honest, I wasn't always this way. I was a people pleaser for a long time. I received validation if somebody told me I was doing great work, right? I didn't actually probably receive love in the ways that most children do. And so it was do more, be seen, and maybe even be respected. But at the end of it, and we've heard about a lot of people today talk about it, is that I didn't really see myself and I didn't really respect myself. And to be honest, I probably didn't even love myself. And so this collaborative leadership came because it was something I craved. I was so tired of doing life alone. I was so tired of trying to prove myself to others so that I could prove myself to myself. And it really, through all of the mentorship that I've received, it really come to this place finally that, you know, I thrive in collaboration. I thrive when we're standing shoulder to shoulder on the same team. I thrive when I don't feel like I'm fighting for my spot. And because of that, I have helped others lean into that, because I really do believe that's what brings us joy and energy and fulfillment.
Oh my goodness, mic drop. You thrive when you know that you have a space and that you're not fighting for that space. Oh, so good, Debbie. So good. Jenny, how about you? Tell us because you have such a spirit of collaboration as well. How have you gained that philosophy for yourself?
The spirit of, well, I've been on many different teams. And, you know, sometimes I'm in the team that ends up like catching everything and doing everything. And then, you know, in that spirit of, I want to help, right? And then realizing like I'm actually stretching myself too thin, or I'm saying yes when I really wanted to say no. And so finding those, knowing myself and understanding that these are things that I know I love to do. These are things I'm good at doing, but maybe I don't necessarily love to do. And these are things that I do because I said yes to, and I really don't want to do them. And then going, okay, it is much better if I don't do this alone. And, you know, I think we say it as well, like it's a more effective team is better than an effective leader any day, because you have more hands, it makes for light work. Also, then everybody comes together with the same mission. And so understanding that and going, who is it that I can reach out to and ask for some help, and be able to receive that help back to say, okay, I know I would do it this way, but because I'm not actually doing it, you can do it your way and we'll still get maybe even an even better result. And so a little bit of leaning in and letting go of some of that control so that other people can also shine. And it actually looks much better on the outside and feels better on the inside. So I feel like that's how it came about.
Wow, that you made such a great point, that a collaborative team is better than the leader, because there's so many more minds together that are working together, and the synergy that comes when you have a collaborative team is very powerful. And Debbie says it so well. You know, if you have, you know, one brain, it's one brain, but if you have two brains together, you have 13 brains.
There you go.
And so, Debbie, I would like to know, what is something that you have learned as a leader that you wish you would have known when you were younger?
Well, I think that what I wanted to learn about leadership is that I was a leader. I didn't know I was a leader. Every time I'd look around for somebody to lead me, and they wouldn't, and I felt lost, and I felt little bit hopeless. And again, it felt like a burden on my shoulder. But when I actually realized that in everything, I just naturally rose to the top of being the leader, no matter what we were doing, what we were organizing, whether it was personal family stuff or whether it was community stuff or whether it was in big projects. And so I looked around and I'm like, so why am I not leading? And it was a worthiness. I wasn't fully allowing myself to step into that identity. And when I did, when I looked around and said, well, why not? I realized that there was some old traumas. And some of the traumas were, what if I fail and let everybody down? What if they leave me? What if they abandon me? What if they don't like me? And, it's hard to stand on a global women's leadership Symposium stage and say that out loud. But I have permission to say that because of so many women that have said it even better than I did. And so really stepping in and realizing that I was the one that I was looking for, that I was the one that I was meant to lead. And then as people started seeing me and expressing that back to me, Debbie, I love the way you hold space. I love the way that you connect the dots. I love the way you lead. I love being in your energy. I realized, why am I looking for somebody else to fill this spot? Let me do this. I can do this.
Right. Yes. And you said what we talked about with Becky Robbins, that you are the one that you've been waiting for. And so many times we think it's going to be somebody else, but we are that person that we've been waiting for. Thank you, Debbie, so much for pointing that out. And Jenny, how about you? What is something that you wish you would have known sooner?
One thing I wish that has come to me, is to think that leadership is a privilege and it's not necessarily something that is a burden, right? Some people say, oh, I have to lead. Well, there's so many different ways people can lead. It's not necessarily always from the front. We talk about people who can lead from within, people who can lead from the side, and some will even lead from the back to make sure that everybody is included, right? There are just so many different ways and styles. And I mean, I am in the space of branding, so I always say it's your own brand of leadership. And that is a privilege to be able to do that, to share that, to say that, and to be able to showcase that instead of thinking that, oh my goodness, I have so many people that are depending on me. It's more of, I get to do this and I get to showcase my own skills and I get to meet other people and learn from other people. And I feel that was something that came to me, when I was watching some other leaders and mentors, and it was like, oh, we get to do this. This is a great honor and a privilege to be able to lead others in the way that we know how. So I feel like that was something I wish I knew sooner.
Right. I love that. So many people that resonated with it's a privilege to lead. And it really is a privilege to get to lead and to get to have an influence over the people that you are leading. And thank you so much for bringing that up. I want to go back to something that you were talking about, Debbie, because I think people pleasing thwarts us in our ability to lead. And so as we were, just kind of dabbling in that, we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier during the day. But Debbie, if you could talk to us about the role of people pleasing and how it inhibits our ability to lead.
Well, I will talk about it from my perspective. I am definitely not an expert, although I have life experience in it. And what happened in my life is people pleasing became a way of validation and of receiving love in a small way, but it really was. And I didn't know that at the time. Nobody could have told me that. But my body completely shut down. And it was because of the emotional pain that I was in, because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what lit me up. I didn't know anything other than just doing for other people. So I was the go-to person for everybody. And I thought that was great. I thought that was wonderful because somebody needed me. However, through all of the work that I have done, the inner work, I started to realize, wow, I was really coming from a place of lack. I was really coming from a place of not being seen or heard or validated or even loved. In my opinion, I did not know that I was loved. And so what it did for me is it took me down a road where my body shut down. And so people pleasing is draining. It's exhausting. It's not life-giving. And when we stop and really look of why we're doing it, there was a lot of my nervous system was in fight or flight at all times. And, the brake and the gas on at the same time. And thank goodness my body couldn't take it. I was a nurse at the time. The doctors all tried to figure it out. I was to all the specialists. You have a brain tumor, you have MS, you have all these things. And in the end, they said, it's all in your head. So take these pills and go away. That's what you're going to live with for the rest of your life. And thank goodness I was a nurse, because I went from, I know how the body works, and I know that there's something else wrong here that they haven't figured out. And that took me down the entire journey of geeking out on the brain and the nervous system and how we can reset our limbic system and all of the things. And so I don't know if that answered your question, Karen. I don't know if that was the angle that you were trying to come from, but it was my life experience. And now when I see somebody incongruent, there may be a little bit of like push. I need to please people. I really pay attention to that, because I believe that what I went through was what I guide others through now. I have the path forward. I can easily see the gap in that and then shift it. And I have many modalities that can help people do that now.
Yes, no, that definitely answered the question. But what I want to tell you, Debbie, is I appreciate your ability to be vulnerable and your willingness to be vulnerable, because so many people are saying in the chat how that meant something to them and that resonated with them. So thank you for sharing that. Jenny, I would like to hear from you about how people pleasing in your life has inhibited your leadership.
Well, often then, you get stuck in doing. When you say yes and you don't want to disappoint, and sometimes it is for maybe the wrong reason or the wrong intention. And then you wonder, it's like you're far down and you're like, why am I doing this? What is this for? And it takes up so much of your time and your energy and your resources. And that's happened to me many, many times. And it, you don't want to be at that point where you're like, what is it that I'm doing? Again, the self-awareness, as Debbie had said, being able to do the work and look at yourself and say, okay, what am I saying yes to, what I should be saying no to? And having actually those courageous conversations and that powerful, conversations as well, to say, well, I wouldn't love to do this anymore. And maybe this is better for somebody else and something else, so that you can find what it is that lights you up, because that's where people start to follow you and start to notice you and start to go, hey, I think I would love to know what you're doing more. And, as people were talking on the stage as well about energy and how other people can feel your authenticity. And that comes through too in everything that you're doing.
Absolutely. That authenticity is just so important, and we sense that, we feel that, and so that's very important. Thank you so much, ladies. I loved hearing your thoughts, and I love your collaborative philosophies and the way that you live collaboration in all that you do. And if we could just have one parting takeaway that you would like to share with our audience, and Jenny, I'll start with you.
Oh, a takeaway. I believe in, there's no one good way to lead. The best leader is the most self-aware leader, and always just doing the work and putting yourself in a space and rooms that you can learn from others and share and ask more questions. We talk about pieces of a puzzle. We're always putting our pieces of our leadership puzzle and our brand puzzle together. And I think that is always a continuous journey. And so I hope people take away from that.
Thank you. And how about you, Debbie?
That we are all evolving and we're all growing. And it doesn't mean that we weren't good enough before. It has nothing to do with that. It means that as we raise up into a better awareness, a higher consciousness, we receive more, and there is more, and there's better opportunities. And as Jenny said, when you fully get aligned in all of that, it's like you just light up and the room just sees you and you see yourself, and everything just continues the spiral of goodness. So thank you, Karen. This has been fabulous.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much for your collaborative philosophies, for the way that you live that in your own lives and in your own leadership. I'm grateful to have Debbie Prediger and Jenny Reyes here with us tonight. Thank you.